field director.
Regional field director.
Thank you for your service. You want a Wilson sticker? There you go.
You know where they have them? Wendy Gay was the lady with her with the ponytail and the t-shirt. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. We're glad to have you here.
I've had 3 in 1 year. In North Carolina, my 3 state trips, same spot. Like, dude, I'm not where I was. I was going to see my dad. He was in a retirement living center. And it was like, so I was going there every day. Because even if you're there, so it was one of my favorites. There was like 25, 30 minutes from my house. And then my uncle died, so, which was Josh's grandfather. Okay, well this is, and those troopers were all there.
See you.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh.
it's in a good position now, but I'm only 20.
Yeah.
So I'm trying everything to like stave off whatever could happen. But there's this thing called CP405. A year ago, Google Ventures invested $16 million into it. There's a ton of medications that come with kind of side effects, right? And not everybody wants that.
And if you stop taking the Advil, then you have to always keep taking it. Just not take it.
So this one has shown that 40% density of people who are completely bald in their male organic tissue. That one, like just the
That's crazy. It's not going to
It
interfere
works.
with it, is it?
Nope.
I was like, it's not going to interfere with the speaker.
Nope. But yeah, I have a little clip so you can put your lav in here.
Crazy. My luck is the speaker's going to go out. Okay, perfect.
There we go.
I was like, our luck is that the speaker is literally going to give out. Really great.
I'm gonna have to come over to the other side then. I gotta have audio too.
We're going to run.
I'm streaming for us, ABC, and like a whole bunch of other stations.
Rubio at the top. I like Steve Rubio's center.
Look it up, watch more. But I do know that my friend, she's on the show, and her husband is, so she was lobbying for the ballot, but she lobbied for herself, and her twins as a kid. And the last time she worked for conservation, she's got his connections. I know she worked for
I think it's fifth grade. I'm not even joking. Fourth grade. And that's why I have to be traumatized because I've watched it every year of my life. I mean, what has it been? 10 years since 2016 you started running in front of the TV. I'm 20. So I was 9. Yeah. I was like 9 when I started running.
my gosh, my goodness, older than me.
I liked Obama in 2012 as a 4 or 5-year-old because I liked the color blue. So I said, blue.
So this one, the kids in kindergarten. So, how old is Mama. And Mama says, what my story is.
Test. Can you hear that? Is it working? How about that one?
That was because she's a Star Wars fan. Yes, that was all over. But she tried to get close. We stood side. I thought they were close. No, we were sitting there the whole time.
Yep. This one.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you could find your seats, please.
Okay, everybody. I need Chairman McKissick at the front. I need our candidates up here at the front. I was about to ask for my wife, but she's already at the front. Wherever you want to sit, Doug. Wherever you want to sit. I'm going to let you wrangle it. I can wrangle it. You want to get our pursuit? Go ahead and start.
All right, good morning. How are y'all? One more time, good morning. How's everybody doing? So let me ask you, are y'all ready to get the primaries out of the way finally? You and me both. You and me both. But look, I appreciate y'all being here this morning. I appreciate y'all coming to hear these candidates. Obviously, we're looking to do something here that we've never done before, and that's fill a 6-year term basically on 3 weeks' notice. But that's what we're called to do. That's our job, and that's what we're going to do. And after it's over, we're going to have one candidate, one campaign, one party, and one victory in November. Can we get behind that? All right. Fantastic. We do that, we'll keep doing what we've been doing, and that's beating Democrats up and down the ballot and all across the state. And you all help make that happen. I sincerely appreciate it, whether you're making donations, whether you're making phone calls, putting out yard signs, whatever it is that you've been doing. I'd ask if you just do a little bit more between now and November. We do that, we're going to be fine. But speaking of primaries, we just got rid of one, here last month, so we're having to do this again. But the one we had last month, though, we have nominated the next governor of the state of South Carolina. Y'all give a round of applause to Alan Wilson. Come forward, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Drew, I think I can get an even louder applause. You've also nominated the first son of Florence County as the next lieutenant governor. Where's Mike? Mike Rickenbaugh. Folks, first off, I want to say this. While we are in Florence County, this is the Florence and Grand Strand region. I know we have a bunch of fellow travelers from the Grand area. We thank y'all for coming. We want to thank our folks in the media for being back there. Folks, the whole point of doing this is, as Drew said, it was not on anyone's bingo card that we would have the tragedy of losing Senator Lindsey Graham and that we would have to rush to put together an entire special election to have people compete to be on the ballot in November for the United States Senate. I'm telling you right now, the Democratic Party, they're circling. They're focused on this race at a national level. It is so important that we come together, we create these type of forums, which I've described. These are not designed to give the candidates the ability to, I call this speed dating, is what it is, right? It's speed dating. They get 6 minutes, I think 6 minutes to give a elevator pitch. They each get one question. And that is, for those of you who are undecided, that is not enough time to make a decision, but it's an idea to give you the opportunity to hear them, meet them, shake their hands, and maybe have sidebar conversations. But the whole point of this is just to give them an equal platform to be able to communicate with the base of our party, the people who make our Republican Party so special. It's you, the people who are participating. Candidate, I know how hard it is to get up and go 24/7, 7 days a week. And when you have such a short election schedule, like literally 3 weeks, and I know how hard it is on these candidates, I know how hard it is on the candidates' spouses, right? And their kids, their families, it's tough. So let's give a round of applause for the candidates who are here today. And their families. Let's thank all the workers, the staffs from the campaigns as well as the party. Drew and I just show up, and these young ladies and men that are putting this thing together, they stick the paper in our hand, and we're just like, thank you so much for being part of this, because without you, this is all worthless. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a number of people here who are either candidates for office or they're in elected office. And if I start doing the list, I'm going to leave someone out. So what I would like to do is if you are a candidate for office or you're in an elected office, stand up or raise your hand if you're already standing. I see several. I know we had Representative Lowe. We got several House. Oh, look at our House members. I want to thank them because they're on the ballot too. And my understanding is every single House member has a Democrat, okay? And the tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that are coming to South Carolina this fall to come after that U.S. Senate race, they're going to be coming for us all. We have got to fight. We've got to stick together. This is my counsel to everyone here. Fight hard for your candidate. Fight hard for them, okay? Fight for them, okay? Don't fight against others, fight for your candidate. And when we nominate one person, let's all come around together and let's get behind them and let's win this thing in November. Our state and our nation depend on us to do it. So I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be your nominee for governor. I'm excited about the opportunity. One last person I neglected to introduce is the person that made it possible for me to be your nominee for governor, my first supporter and first voter, my wife, Jennifer, sitting up here on the second row. Stand up, Jennifer, so they can see who you are. Thank you. Okay, with that being said, Mark, you want to, as a candidate, you want to come up here and sit? We got a reserved seat up here for you. I want to make sure we have all our candidates where we can get to them quickly. All right, I'm going to hand it back to Drew. We're going to have a pledge and a prayer, and then we're going to roll right into this thing.
All right, if you all would please rise. I'm going to ask Cindy Risher, our first vice chairman, to come and lead us in an invocation.
Heavenly Father, we lift up these candidates who seek to lead. We pray that they will demonstrate integrity, compassion, and a deep commitment to your word in their campaigns. Lord, we pray for humility in our leaders. May they never forget that their authority comes from you and is meant for service. Guard them against pride and self-importance. Inspire them to lead with empathy, compassion, and a genuine desire to uplift your people. And finally, Father God, we submit this election to your sovereign will. May your perfect plan unfold, bringing glory to your name. Help us to accept the outcome with grace, knowing that you work all things for the good of those who love you. Strengthen our trust in your unfailing wisdom. In the precious name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen.
And remain standing if you would, and our 7th District Chairman, Jay Robner, will lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello? Okay. Listen, in 2008, the NDAA, which is dictates the military budget and whatnot, it said in there, since there's so few veterans that have served, 6% of the population, if you're a veteran, please join me with a hand salute if you can. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all. Be seated. So just a real quick housekeeping. So the rules of the road here, we're going to be calling candidates up one at a time. As Alan mentioned, they'll have 6 minutes to give a basic stump speech. And we'll have a question. Mike Page, chairman of the Florence County Republican Party, has questions, and we will rotate through those. They'll each get one question, a few minutes to answer that question, then we'll go to the next candidate. And as we pointed out, after all this is over, you'll have time to mix and mingle with them and ask any further questions and so forth. But don't get up and don't walk out the door after it's over, because straight back there in front of the staircase, we're going to have a straw poll. So after all this is over, be sure to vote in the straw poll. We're, all about election integrity here, so it's just one vote per person, right? And we have paper ballots, and y'all can watch them get counted, okay? And the folks in the media, I'm sure, will love to know what the result of that is here after this morning. So all that said, let's see, who's up first? Oh, wait, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, there we go. There's a button on here to the candidates. Sometimes if you're holding this, you might actually accidentally cut your microphone off, so watch the button on the front. And I don't know if we identified Bobby Crawford. Did you identify him? He's going to be sitting right here. Obviously, yellow means you have 1 minute left. Red means look for a runway to land the speech. Try to do as quickly as you possibly can. We don't want you to stop in the middle of a thought. Finish your thought, and that way we can be respectful to all the other candidates and the people who came out here today. With that being said, the candidates, you can use this if you need to. Otherwise, you can walk around. Our first candidate for the forum today will be former South Carolina Governor and 1st District Congressman Mark Sanford.
I want to pick up on what Alan said just one moment ago, and that was what happens next in our country, what happens next in our state, rests in part based on the decision you'll make on this election. I mean, the United States Senate is an incredibly important entity, which makes this a big decision for every one of us. Before I get into any of that, though, let me circle back and just give you a little bit of update as to what I've been up to. In that, since for once upon a time, for those of you who lived east of here, I represented you in Congress a long while back. Then for most all of y'all, I represented you as governor, except for some of the folks that moved in here more recently. And then I went back into Congress, and then ended up in the logistics business for the last 6 years. So that's what I've been up to. I'm a dad of 4 sons, and now a granddad as of about 2 months ago, which is a whole new chapter. But I've gotten into this race in part because of that logistics business, because the guys and gals that I work with, I think are American heroes. They don't have a lot, but they absolutely have soul in what they do on a daily basis in making things happen. And so I think about them, and I think about our 4 sons and now our grandson. Because I think that our country is at a financial tipping point. We're walking our way toward the most predictable financial crisis in the history of man, and yet we're not even really talking about it. I want you to think about this. We're going to add $1 trillion of debt to the national debt in the next 100 days. Now, to give you a sense of a trillion kind of sounds like it's a big number, $1 million, billion, trillion. But I want you to think about this. If you stacked up $1 million, it'd be about 3.5 feet tall on $100 bills. $100 bills, 3.5 feet tall, $1 million. If you stacked up $1 billion, it's about 0.67, a little over half a mile, right? 2 times around the high school track. If you stacked up $1 trillion, okay, $1 million, 3.5 feet, $1 billion, half mile, $1 trillion, 670 miles. Get in the car and drive from here to New York, and you're about there. It is incomprehensible, this wave of money that's coming at us and its implications for those we love and for each one of us. So there's an affordability crisis going on right now that a farmer put it to me best. He said, you know, Mark, let me get this right. We've got a federal government that goes out and spends money it doesn't have, and then it turns around and it prints money that's not there so we can spend the money we don't have. What's that do to the value of every dollar we have? It drifts it south. And so people are struggling. The average age to buy a house not that long ago was 39 years of age, just 15 years ago. Today, that number is 59. In 15 years, it slid back 20 years, which is to say the American dream is becoming that much more difficult for whether it's my 4 boys or y'all's kids or grandkids out there. So we look at the numbers. Yeah, there are a lot of numbers that we could talk at length about. But it comes down to something a whole lot simpler. This race is, for me, based on, numbers, but what will those numbers buy us these days? There's an affordability question which ties largely to this theme of the American dream. And here's where I think we bring something unusual to the table. If you look at my time in the governorship, we held the line on government spending as no governor has before or since. It sounds easy. I mean, we did a press conference the other day at the State House Capitol and brought in a couple pigs talking about how at that time, 22 years ago, we got into a sort of an elbow match with the legislative body because they said, look, declare victory and move on. You got close enough on closing off this deficit. We said, no, I stuck my left hand on the Bible, I raised my right hand and swore to uphold the Constitution. We can't get close. We have to close that off because if not, we set precedent for the next 100 years on the sanctity of our balanced budget requirement. And we brought the pigs in, and Senate Finance eventually found the money. We closed it off. But I think you want that measure of resolve, that measure of focus, that level of commitment when you think about the way Washington's spending money. When I was governor, we had a thing called the MAP Commission. Looked at, again, under the hood, way before Elon Musk was doing that sort of thing, really looked under the hood at the way we're spending money. So I would just say it's a lot more than money. I think as candidates we agree on immigration or you name the issue. I think we've got credentialed conservatives all the way across. But I think what does stand out about my candidacy is the degree to which we have focused on your pocketbook and your wallet and protecting that, whether in Columbia, South Carolina, or Washington, D.C. I see the yellow flag is going up, so I'm going to quickly call it quits, but I would say this. I asked for your prayers in the last couple of days of this sprint that we're all in, and I do ask for your vote. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
You back on? There we go. All right, question number one. Interesting question to what you've been talking about. How will you address the national debt and the continued spending each year that exceeds what we take in? You can continue.
Yeah, well, I'm on a rant. Let's keep going. So what I'd say is, think about this. The fastest growing category of your federal government is interest payments. Think about this. No civilization across the pages of time has ever been able to outrun math. And you can look at a lot of civilizations that litter the history books that tried but didn't work because, again, you got to come back to simple math. If you look at the numbers, Social Security is scheduled to go bankrupt in 5.5 years. Medicare in 6.5 years. And we ain't having a conversation about it. So again, I go back to, I think you want somebody who has been a financial steward. I can give you all the ratings about the different groups, National Taxpayers Union, but again, particularly a practitioner, somebody who really focused on that in their time in office. What do you do about it? It's all the above. So I could begin with the ABCs. I mean, you think about ag department. I mean, we spend $45 billion in ag programs right now. A lot of it was aimed for family farmers, but some of it goes to big corporate farms, not helping the folks that it was originally designed to help. If I think about this notion of corporate welfare, it was Ronald Reagan who said, the closest thing to eternal life is a government program. And look at the way some of that stuff gets embedded in the tax code, and you can't get out, and there's not a sunset. That's why we tried to do zero-based budgeting when I was governor. I'm going to do an ABCs in my mind. I'm going to think about defense. Even with defense. So, for instance, the second time I was in Congress, we actually built into the NDAA, which is the National Defense Authorization Act, a provision that changed the way in which bullets are used between the Marine Corps and the Army. Because there was not operability, there was not consistency in the way the 5.56 millimeter bullet was used, and you had one kind for the Army and another kind for the Marines. Same lethality in terms of shooting a bad guy, but they didn't work together. We said, that makes no sense, because you had two different production lines, two different logistics trains, and additional costs. So we introduced that, got it in. Did it save billions? No. But did it save tens of millions? Yes. And I think you want that level of focus of getting into the weeds on every program. There's nothing that should be every program out there, because you can find stuff. I'll just say a target-rich environment, if you want to call it that, in Washington, D.C. as it comes to your money, in many cases, not being used the way you would around the kitchen counter. Thank you all.
Thank you, Governor. Okay, our next Senate candidate is former Myrtle Beach Mayor Mark McBride.
Thank y'all very much for being here today. If any place in the state, y'all in the PD ought to know who I am. I've been around Myrtle Beach, and I've been coming back to Florence for a number of years. I want to start off by saying thank you to God for allowing me to be here today. The second person I want to thank is Laura. She's actually doing a baby shower today for her niece. And Mark, it's kind of an interesting story. Aaron and Casey will end up having 5 children under 6. And if you remember back when the Democratic Party used a girl to go after you on one of the education issues, it was actually Casey. It was kind of funny. But so this is a dream come true for me to stand here. If y'all don't know that. You couldn't imagine 47 years ago as a 135-pound 10th grader that I running for class president, that I'd stand here and I'd have a governor, a congressman, senator should be here, and then the other 5 in the race. What an opportunity. It says that anybody can do anything. Then, student body president, Boys State, went to Carolinas. Richie Skipper is not here for y'all who know Richie Skipper. Richie, he and I went to Coastal together, and Richie was sitting with me the first time I ever saw Laura at the Russell House. And, we've been together now, married for 39 years, 4 children. And they've been through a lot through the years of me taking my positions and everything. But I just really want to say thank you to God and Laura for allowing me to stand here. Now, let's talk about the issues. It's the economy, it's the war, it's immigration, Social Security, And Mark's right on the debt. You know, I put it fifth because at this point, if you don't have enough gas to get to the grocery store with the job you hopefully have, then it really doesn't matter how bad Washington screwed it up for the last 25 years. And the last time Mark was in office, it was only $22 trillion in debt, and now it's $40 trillion in debt. So then let's go back to the war. We talked last week, and there were 9 questions asked to us in Lexington last week, and they were high school students asked us. And the high school students asked us, and 2 of the questions had to do with war. The other night in Charleston, you had Berkeley County, Dorchester County, Colleton County, 6 counties represented down there, and not one of the questions from the adults had to do with war. Y'all, there's something we have to address. If we're going to win in November, there's a big push that is against the war. We need to end the war. We need to end the war now. And if you think that we've lost the war, we just have to admit we've lost the war. We've lost this battle. Come home and regroup for another day. Last night, Iran attacked another tanker because we were guarding a tanker, moving it through. We can't do it. Today I paid $5.59 a gallon to come down here. I remember in President Trump's first term, my diesel was $2.08. I paid $5.59. The only reason those fuel prices, fuel across the world, there's diesel shortages and air shortages. We're risking forcing the entire world's economy off the cliff. For what? We didn't change, Same Kamini's in, it's a son. Look at your wife right now. Look at your husband. Look at your children. If someone killed them, what would you do? Someone comes after my wife and my children, I'm coming after whoever did it. We've intentionally angered millions and millions of people for 25 years. We've been in the Middle East, spent $6 trillion. And where have we gotten? The $6 trillion that was spent by China, they've invested it. That's why their entire country has national high-speed rail and dams and infrastructure projects we don't have because we keep fighting other wars. Okay, the senator's not here tonight. If Henry McMaster had appointed me, the first thing he did, she walked out of her confirmation and went in and supported the NDAA. I would have been 49-1. I wouldn't agreed with the other Republicans because we do not share our secrets and go into business with any other foreign country. Israel is not the 51st state. The second vote she did was, how many of y'all in here have a to-go card or a free get-out-of-jail card if the IRS comes to investigate you? Nobody. The president does, his children do, and his businesses do, because his criminal defense attorney is now the acting, well, I guess he's going to be the attorney general now. I've never even hired an attorney general. I've never been arrested. I have all 12 of my driver's license points. And then the last one yesterday, maybe that's why she's not here. She voted for the Lindsey Graham, going back and we're going after Russia and we're going after Iran again. We're sanctioning them. Part of the agreement to get us out of Iran was they want the sanctions lifted. And the party is dumping more sanctions on. Iran will become the next Vietnam. You're sanctioning Russia. Russia is moving right now through the Ukraine, no matter what all y'all are hearing. Okay. Mark McBride, thank you. I asked for your vote. I will stand. I will fight. I can't be bought. And I have the record. And I'm asking you to send me to Washington on the 11th. Thank you.
All right. What do you believe is the single greatest threat to the United States today? And what specific actions would you take in the U.S. Senate to address that threat?
Wow. I could have hit a bunch of other points if I hadn't been all on that. It is the war, y'all. It is the war. It'll be interesting today. Watch. The questions are asked. The majority of the people don't want the war. Now, there is a mindset, kick their tail. There's not one of y'all in here who voted for President Trump a year and a half ago because this is where you thought we would be. What is the Selective Services doing right now? On August 14th, they're coming back with a proposal, and the Selective Services is war gaming how we do a draft. And you're saying, oh, we're not going to have a draft. We're not going to have a draft. We're doing the presidential race, and for the last 10 years, we were never going to be in the Middle East in another endless war. You want our whole life to be turned upside down? We need to get out of the war. We need to do it now. We need to come home. There's a bunch of people that hate us in Iran. But if we keep going and we create an economic downfall and a recession and a depression across the world, China, Japan, Australia, Canada, there are going to be a whole lot more people hating us. We're better than that. Executive Order 1233. How many of y'all support Ronald Reagan? Everybody supports Ronald Reagan. What's Executive Order 1233? Executive Order 1233 says that we will not have anybody involved with the United States of America who's involved in assassinations. And what is they say out of Washington? Oh, we've assassinated, we've created, we've wiped out this, we've wiped out that. We're not a thug nation. We're not all about war. We're not about killing people. The only reason I've read it, whether it's been on city council or now, you have a right to live in safety and security. That means a defense department, not a department of war. And you should live in peace. And those people around the world live in peace. And in the Ukraine, when this is all over, Ukraine will go back into Russia the way it's been for 70 of the last 100 years. That border issue is not our issue. We need it to be peaceful, and we need to get the fertilizer out of the Ukraine, out of the Middle East, so our farmers have something so we can eat. Thank y'all.
All right, next up, Congressman Russell Fry. Come forward, sir.
What's up, Florence?
Man, it's good to be home. It is good to be home. For the last 10 days, just to kind of give you like a glimpse of what some of us have been going through, we have crisscrossed this state. I slept in my own bed for the first time in like 2 weeks yesterday, and it's good to be home. We're leaving here. We're going to go knock on some doors the old-fashioned way, but how y'all feeling? How we feeling, guys? Y'all ready for November? Are y'all ready for November? You know, they say that there's no energy and the Republicans can't win, they can't succeed. Do y'all buy into that narrative? Are we going to lose in November? Heck no. You guys know me pretty well. A couple years ago, obviously, Florence, the PD, the Grand Strand were a big part of the reason why we fried some rice. Y'all remember this? And so it's good to be home. Look, for those that don't know me, I am the current congressman from this area. I'm from Surfside Beach. I grew up in Sockasty, which is a little west of Myrtle Beach. And so some people say that I can surf and knife fight, which surprisingly are great qualities to have in Washington, D.C. Sometimes you might need a little both. But you know what, and you've heard this, you've probably seen the TV stuff, but I just want to get personal for a minute. How you grow up, the things that you learn, the lessons that you get from your parents are really impactful. Somebody like me. My parents worked hard for everything that they had. We didn't have much. We had a house with the heat in the winter, Mark, you've heard this before, was a kerosene lantern. So kerosene is both nostalgic and disgusting at the same time when I smell it. And our air conditioning was a box fan. and maybe like your hand, right? But the hard work that they put in, the faith that they instilled in me and my brothers, that is what makes this country special. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? That is why we have survived for 250 years as a nation. You think about depressions, recessions, a civil war, 2 world wars, 250 years. I think we take it for granted a little bit. Do you think that we take it for granted sometimes? Oh, yeah. And what is the path that we will choose in the next 250 years? Where's my son, James? How about my son, James, in the back, my campaign manager? And Alan is right about Jennifer. My beautiful wife, Bronwyn's here. And all of the spouses, you know, we have a hard time as candidates. You know, we get punched. We're in the race together. But the spouses, you know, they're the first supporter, and it's sometimes hard to hold them back because they just want to get involved. So thank you, Queen Bee, and to all the spouses. But you think about the promise of this country and what that means, and what is the path that we will take? Will we go down the slow road to socialism? Is that the path that we will take? No. We are going to continue to embrace what made us great to begin with. And that is our faith. That is our appreciation for freedom. That is free enterprise and capitalism. These are the things that allow somebody like Tim Scott, our great senator, to go from a single mom all the way to the United States Senate. This is a country that allows somebody to have an idea and work in their garage and make an outstanding business. And what I see now is you on a fixed income, you as a working family. The pinch is real. How are you going to afford gas? If you want to buy a first home, what does that look like? If you want to heat and cool your house, first of all, who likes paying a power bill? Does anybody here like paying a... Nobody. He hates it. Do y'all hate it? Can I get an amen? Who hates a power bill? What is the culprit of that? The culprit of that are the things that come out of Washington, D.C. That they sit in an ivory tower and they say, you shall live underneath us, and we will tell you how to live. You can't build an electrical generating facility in this country. 7 to 10 years to build a nuclear power plant? We know a little bit about that in VC summer. That used to be a 4-letter word in this state. Why does it take us 7 to 10 years to put a nuclear power plant up when China's putting one up every month? Do you know what, if we took what the Robinson plant up in Darlington County, do you know how many homes that powers? 500,000. What would that do? If you put more electricity on the grid, what does that do to your power? Lowers the cost, right? Why is that? It's because of duplicitous and onerous regulations. We see this on farms. We see this in every manner of our government. Regulations strangle us. Well, you got to put a stop to it, because that lowers your costs at the end of the day. That allows a little bit of pressure relief on your bottom line. You got to get government out of the way if we're going to solve this affordability crisis. I'm at the red. I'm sitting here having an old Senate filibuster. Thank you guys so much. It's an honor to represent you, and I would be honored to have your vote for the United States Senate on August 11th.
All right. What should Congress do during your first year in office to permanently secure our southern border and reduce illegal immigration?
Oh, man, what a great question. First of all, I have to laugh because I served, and you got to work on the red card, man. I'm not seeing it, wave it around at me. So I served in Congress in the last 2 years of the Biden administration. And now I serve on the first 2 of the Trump administration. And here's my observations of that. One, you actually have to have a president who's awake for more than 4 hours a day, right? We went from a president who slept for 20 and was awake for 4 to a president who is awake for 20 and sleeps for 4, right? And we all know this, like the midnight call. Russell, are you sleeping? No, sir. I was waiting on your call at 1 in the morning. So that helps. But two, what they did was, it wasn't a mistake. Don't ever let them get away with this. It was not a mistake. It was designed. It was designed. When you think about the fentanyl in our communities, it was designed. When you think about the price of rent and the housing shortages, do you know one of the biggest drivers of that? Illegal immigration. 20 million people were imported into this country in a 4-year span. It is unimaginable, it's unconscionable, and it has really destroyed a lot of the fabric in our communities. Services are stretched thin. So, one, you got to secure the dang border, right? This is so fundamental to our country. Personnel, judges to process people who claim asylum, to process these people out. You got to hold the line. You got to have technology. That's part one. And thankfully, we have a president who has done that. Do y'all think that? Do y'all believe that? That the border has never been more secure than under this man, Donald Trump. Part two of this equation is that you have to close the loopholes that Biden used to exacerbate the problem, right? The parole authority of the Homeland Security, that says on a case-by-case basis, the secretary may bring in one person. Maybe they don't fit in a neat little box somewhere. What Biden did was they said, we're going to use parole authority to bring in 250,000 Haitians at your cost, by the way. These were like first-class junkets that they flew to from these third-world countries to Miami and New York and Charlotte and Atlanta and all these other airports. We're going to take 250,000 Haitians. We're going to take 250,000 Nicaraguans. We're going to bring them all here. You got to close the loopholes. There's pending legislation right now. We did it last Congress, H.R. 2. But there's pending legislation right now that would remove that authority. That is the step. And if you do that, you remove any future president's ability to have subjectivity in the law. Close the border loopholes. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Okay. Our next Senate candidate. All right, our next Senate candidate is Sam Shepard. Sam, here you go.
Thank you, Governor. I love that hoopah for me. That was amazing. My name is Sam Shepard, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate. When I win this position, I'm going to represent South Carolina, and I'm going to be concerned about you, not about me. I'm not doing this to pad my bank account. I choose not to take a salary. I'll donate it to cancer research. There's several conversations going on about the budget. I believe I'm the only candidate that has submitted on my website a comprehensive plan for reducing our debt. Our debt to GDP is now greater than 1. What that means is that we are technically bankrupt. We have tipped over. It took us 50 years to get here. It's going to be a struggle to stay the course for the next 50 to get this back. Now, in that comprehensive plan, I didn't discuss elimination of the fraud. Elimination of the fraud can take that from about a 40-year plan down to about an 18-year plan. That's how much fraud is in our federal government. Now, something very dear to me is health care. And as a part of that budget plan, a third is Social Security and Medicare, the cost. There's some talk about putting taxes on Social Security. I understand why, but that's not going to work. I would never support a bill that's going to tax the elderly for their Social Security. The reason being is that when they took that money out of your paycheck, it was before taxes. They were supposed to be under a good faith agreement with the federal government to put it in a trust fund. What did they do with the money? They spent it. They spent your money. Our own government lied to us. Now, they are going to keep paying Social Security. Why should it not be taxed? Because, as everybody knows, when you go and borrow money from the bank, you don't pay taxes on that loan. Our federal government is borrowing money to pay our senior citizens. They've breached the agreement. I wish Cody was here, because there's some discussion about reducing the affordability issue. How do we get our electric bills down? I personally am working on a program right now on what's called supercapacitors. These are not flux capacitors from, the movie and all that. But these supercapacitors replace lithium iron phosphate batteries at 1/8 the weight. I'm currently working with Lockheed to get these developed. When we're done, you can put these in your home. They charge during the day off peak, and then you can use the power on peak. It's about a 30% reduction in your electric bill. The whole idea in South Carolina that we are 400 megawatts short of electricity. And Russell mentioned it. If you're simple supply and demand, if you're short power, guess what happens to your prices? I'm not a big proponent of electrical monopolies. I would scrutinize that very, very carefully. I am a supporter of the military. And what we're doing with our veterans, I'm going to watch that very, very carefully. But I'm also a big proponent of why in the world are we shooting down $10 drones with $1 million missile? We have the technology. I built electromagnetic pulse weapons. I've been to Israel and I've seen the weapon. We have it also. The electromagnetic and the pulse weapons, those were projects that I worked on. I know the technology is there. That military technology should be delivered to South Carolina. We're a huge military component. Bottom line, one of the biggest problems we have in the healthcare is cancer. I'm the guy who figured out why you get cancer. You can look at the websites, you can look at Grok, you can look at any of the public media out there. You'll figure out who I am. I take very, very difficult problems, civil, military, and I have the skills to fix them. I'm more conservative than Donald Trump. And I've actually authored more patents than Elon Musk. I have 44. I'm asking for you to bring common sense back to the government. But in any regard, if I am not chosen, which is going to be a small, slim possibility, remember, I will support in any capacity I can the Republican committee. And Governor Wilson has my number. I'm more than happy to volunteer and help. With that, let's go with the question.
South Carolina is growing, but many working families, small businesses, farmers, and manufacturers feel Washington makes it harder, not easier, to succeed. What are the 3 specific things that you would do as our U.S. Senator to strengthen South Carolina's economy, protect our industries, create good-paying jobs without increasing federal spending or regulation?
Great question. First of all, we got to get regulations out. Got to slow it down a little bit. Number 1, we got to get fuel prices down in whatever fashion we can. We can use biomass, where if Cody was here in the agricultural industry, we know how to produce biofuels. There's some companies here that do that. The other one is we got to get interest rates down. Make it more affordable. How do we do that? Young people that I deal with, they can't even put a down payment down on the house. But they may not be aware that there is government programs available for providing the 20% down payment for first-time home buyers. We need to reactivate that. We need to make that more positive. The third thing is STEM education. The science, the technology, the engineering, the math. Why are we educating kids in our universities just to get a 4-year degree that's totally useless when they get out of school? What are we thinking? We got to educate them to the point that they're going to be productive. And that's why I wanted to work very diligently from this platform. A lot of this is going to be at the state level, but where you provide in-state tuition free in the STEM programs, so that when they come out, they commit 4 years to South Carolina, or they commit to 4 years in the military. I want to thank you all for this opportunity. It's been an amazing adventure. I'm off on Election Day to Europe. I'm meeting with 4 large companies in Norway, Sweden, and Germany to bring manufacturing back to South Carolina.
All right, next up, Mark Lynch.
Thank you, Drew. Alan, thank you. I look forward to your governorship. You and Mike, y'all are awesome. Thank you, Florence, for having this event. It's an awesome time. It's not been 3 weeks for us. It's been over 2 years. We entered this race and filed back in February of 25 after we had careful consultation and prayer. And I want to thank my wife for being my chief handler and sticking with me. She's traveled everywhere we've gone, but about 4 events where she had to babysit our 4 grandchildren. But I'm Mark Lynch. I'm running for this because it's time to bring back God first in this country. The reason we have inflation, the reason we're spending all this money, the love of money, God says, is the root of all evil. And we have career politicians that have been in office for years that have allowed us to get in this shape that we're in. So it was time to bring a businessman. I'm a successful businessman. I was born in Greenville. I'm a lifelong South Carolinian. I bought my father's business back in 1983, took the reins in 85, and grew the business 35 times larger, from 5 people to 110, and we've been debt-free since 1999, personally and corporately. We have been in the fight as an outsider for years. I met a gentleman named John Guandolo in 2014. He was the head of the anti-terrorism division of the FBI after 9/11. He worked closely with Phil Haney, who was murdered after Obama kicked him out and purged all his findings in Congress. And like 54 records of the Islamic infiltration in our government, our homeland security, and our military. I met General Mike Flynn back then. He fully endorses me. We've had serious conversations when Hillary was running for president. There was a lot of deep conversation talking about what's going to happen to our country. We love this country. These men I hang out with, like me, are willing to sacrifice their lives like our forefathers were. My life verse is John 15:13. There is no greater love than he that is willing to lay down his life for his friends. We talk about the dangerous stuff. We talk about the war here at home. We've educated people for over 12 years about the Islamic infiltration in this country. We've presented to Henry McMaster and Pamela Evatt in the State House when they both agreed, and I think this is right, that McMaster was the first of 10 governors that was willing to allow Afghan refugees to come into our state. These people are not vettable. That was after the embarrassing evacuation of our troops in Afghanistan led by ISIS. All those people that got on those planes and came to America and came to South Carolina under our governor's leadership at that time, they're not the people that were allies for our soldiers. And we proved that and showed them the history, what had happened in Congress and in the Pentagon under President Clinton and under George W. Bush when they had the director of CARE, a Hamas terrorist organization, working beside them, telling our presidents how to deal with the Islamic threat in America. Do you think we got any good information? These are deep topics that we understand at the bottom level that's causing all the things we're all dealing with now. You know, CARE's office is, our guys busted that organization out of their office in D.C. It led to the largest trial ever of the United States versus the Muslim Brotherhood held in Dallas, Texas, called the Holy Land Foundation trial. Obama sent Eric Holder to Dallas and basically turned the lights off and said, go home, none of this happened. None of these candidates talk about that. A lot of them have been in office while this has gone on. We've talked about it to some of them. Nothing's getting done. As a businessman, we have to win every day, or our company goes out of business. We're in our 74th year. We're doing very well. We've put up with all the competition as a David and Goliath story, like Circuit City. These are the companies that are no longer in existence. H.H. Gregg, Sears and Roebuck, Montgomery Ward's, Lechmere, Kmart, J.M. Fields. We've fought them all. I'm a fighter. My name, Mark, if you look it up, is warrior. Our last name, Lynch, means forever faithful, semper fi. That's who we are. And we've been fighting on the outside. We've been standing at the abortion clinics, talking the women out of having an abortion. I'm endorsed by Equal Protection South Carolina. We believe life begins at conception. There's never a time to murder that child that God chose to create. Never. Never. And we've been fighting that. I'm endorsed by Abby Johnson. I spoke at the State House because we have these fake bills, heartbeat bills, that brought in pork to allow do-it-yourself-at-home abortions with the abortion pill. Anybody here can call, man or woman. They'll even send you the abortion pills free. Nobody talks about those things. We're killing more of our own. We're at war with ourselves. Satan's using health care as a means, or inconvenience as a mean to kill more babies. That's my number one platform, life. When our forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence, they realized we were endowed by our Creator with certain God-given unalienable rights. And the first right is the right to life. God's hands are off this country. He's allowing us to come to the end of ourselves. That's why we have all this crazy chaos going on in government and at home, and we're all sitting here wondering, when is anything going to happen? We've got to bring God back first again. That's what our foundations were built on in this country. We wear a cross that has the flag on it because the answer is bringing back God first. That's the only way we make America great again. No, there's a lot of good people here that will do great in office, and I want whoever God wants to win this. I want His will to be done. If it's me or Sam or Ralph or Russell, I don't care. Whoever God wants, that's who I want. I love this country, and I hope whoever gets in will put God first, right? And I see we're out of time. Is that right? So thank y'all. I humbly ask you to pray. Pray for who God wants to be in this seat. It's very important. Thank you.
What do you think about the growing influence of Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, and other democratic socialist ideas in American politics? Do you believe this movement poses a significant challenge to our constitutional republic? If so, what role should the U.S. Senate play in addressing it?
Yes, I'm totally against that. I'm more against the Republicans that are in office that have allowed us to get to this position, that are allowing the Democratic Socialist Party to be in this country, that have allowed China to come in and declare war on our country, and we're doing nothing about it. We're selling our land to China in South Carolina, right? Chinese evil people are working with Mexico, funneling fentanyl into this country. We have over 70,000 on average a year, Americans that are killed from fentanyl. You know, I came from that. Y'all heard a lot of the stuff. One thing that Lindsay's campaign hit me on was true, was I was arrested and I was a cocaine felon back 42 years ago. I've come through the fire. I met my wife in recovery back then. We've helped thousands of drug addicts, and every family sitting here has a member in your family. You're coming to mind right now with somebody that you grew up with, a parent, a brother, a sister, or a child that's suffering in addiction. Don't give up on them. Pray for them. With God's help, they can be set free like we've seen thousands. About 20% of our staff is in recovery, and we've had some that have died. When fentanyl first came out, it's such an addictive thing. We had 7 of our employees. Some were still working with us. Some of them have moved back to Florida or wherever they were from after they went through a recovery treatment center for 7 months in Greenville called Miracle Hill Overcomers Program. And we started having concert for calls because we work closely with all the treatment centers in the state, helping fund them and donate appliances to them, and we hire them and give them a job. They need a second chance, but sometimes they don't make it. And we had 7 people that had died from an overdose, and that's part of the China issue. So why are we working or negotiating with any country that has declared war on America? The war is right here at home, y'all. I'm America first. It's about having a candidate that will deal with the real issues. And Mark, I appreciate your knowledge on the budget and all that. We have to do that in our company. That's how we're debt free. We don't have money printers like the government does. But we've got to tackle the root cause. When you have 50 million aliens that have come into this country that have been given their citizenship in the last several years, and we're supporting 70% of those 50 million in welfare. Or during COVID, I'm competing with our government, the people that were in office that were for sending payouts to our employees, and they were making more money that we all paid for it. That's socialism. We're already in socialism. We paid our employees to sit at home and walk to a mailbox in their pajamas and get more money in a government check that we all donated to than I could pay them to come back to work. And that's been a huge issue. So I know how to attack the real roots. I'm a fighter, and it's about winning, and it's about making decisions and pulling a trigger and nuking the filibuster. And I will work for America. I've said my whole campaign. I won't take a penny from AIPAC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Our next Senate candidate is going to be Glenda Gale Parker. Ms. Parker? I'm Glenda. I said your name correctly, correct? Good.
Thank you. I'm Glenda Gale Parker. I'm the new girl in town. My website is www.glendagaleparker.com. And I've met and gripped and grinned with you all, a lot of you, as you're coming in. And it's important to me that I keep your trust. So from the day one, my first press release, I let everybody know that
I'm an independent. I'm a conservative independent that leans Republican. I would like to present to you some ideas, and I think it's important because today 60% of the voters self-identify as independents. So I'm hoping that you all will listen to my ideas, my positive solutions. My campaign is about positive, common sense solutions. I'd like to give you, I totally agree with you about the debt being an issue, and I believe that one of the reasons that I am a good candidate for this position is because of my background in budget. By trade, I'm a budget analyst. I worked for the Department of Defense for over 20 years as a budget analyst with the Air Force. And there are only 3 ways that we can reduce that $40 trillion debt. Now, one of them is increase the income, the revenue. That's the T word. The second is to reduce the outgo, and that's cut spending. And the third is to increase our economy, grow our economy, put everybody to work, and they're paying more taxes. And the truth is you have to use all 3 of those very carefully. I favor growing the economy. With my positive solutions, you can find out more of them about those on my website. We've all got a phone now, most of us, and it's www.glendagaleparker.com. I would like to tell you a little bit more about myself. This is not my first rodeo, and when I ran for office before, I didn't talk too much about it myself, but I'd like to connect with you all, and so I'd like for you to know that I'm a country girl. I was born in the foothills of the Ouachita Mountains in Arkansas, and most of the time I spent in Arkansas, I lived with my grandma and my grandpa Sam. They were very conservative. I moved to Oklahoma, which is another conservative state, and I married there. I divorced there. Since 1973, I've been a single parent. When I divorced, I was making $4,000 a year working for the Air Force. My husband was making $8,000 a year, of course. We both had high school educations. The first thing that I did after I became single again was I went back to college. And I paid my own college by real estate transactions. I would live in a home for a while, keep it maintained, and I would sell it for enough profit to get into a better home for me and my 3 children, and take the rest of the profit, and I paid for my books and my tuition. I've worked for 36 years for the Department of War, the Department of Defense, and along that time I also joined the Air Force Reserve. So I'm a retired Air Force officer. I'm a veteran. I'm really grateful that I got to serve, but honestly, my service was a lot easier than a lot of the veterans that I know. I volunteered for Desert Shield, and then they sent us home when they ran out of money and told us to pack our bags. Then they called me up during the last 4 days of the war, and that gave me veteran status. But I did volunteer when they needed people to volunteer, because they were sending them, employing them. I was scared to death, to tell you the truth, because whenever I got on station, the person I was replacing was pregnant. I didn't think they would send her overseas, but they did. They said they have good doctors over there, and I'm sure they did. I was still scared. But I did serve the country, and I'm proud of that, and I served you as a civil servant all this time. So I'm hoping that you'll check out my positive solutions and give me your support and consideration for the ideas that I'm presenting.
If elected to the U.S. Senate, what specific actions would you take to ensure that South Carolina farmers receive timely and effective assistance following hurricanes, droughts, floods, and other natural disasters?
Well, that's a good question because we really need someone that addresses that. Of course, right now it's FEMA, and I would have to do some more research on that. But what I would like to do, and my positive solution, is to reduce the mitigate the climate exchanges, the climate extremes that we are experiencing now. And I do that by reducing our consumption of fossil fuels and lower the demand for the fossil fuels. In fact, today I want to challenge the oil and gas companies. You know, the oil and gas companies are not really in the business of oil and gas. They're in the business of energy. We have so many ways that we can have clean energy. We can have cleaner air and cleaner water. So those companies that are interested in longevity must realize that they are in the energy business, not the oil and gas business. And so that I would like to challenge the oil and gas business to clean up their image, to advertise and make it public the investment they're making in clean energy. I am not a advocate for nuclear energy, though. I came from Oklahoma, and Karen Silkwood will tell you all about what it's like to store nuclear waste and what it does to the people in the community and how careless the corporations are with their citizens' health. So nuclear energy is not the solution. We need solar, wind, geothermal, hydro, and we need to put research and development money into magnetic energy. So I think that's it. I encourage you, like I'm the new girl in town, and I'm meeting you, as many people as possible, and I'm hoping that you will accept my candidacy, and I thank the Republican Party for letting me into this race and letting me participate in the public discussion. So thank you.
All right, next up, Congressman Ralph Norman. Come forward, sir. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming. You could be anywhere in Florence or anywhere else today, but the fact you came here is special. It's what we need more of, participation, which is what you're doing. You know, Gal, I was listening to you. I've listened to Sam and Mark. It is so refreshing. And Darlene, people who have not been have not had political office, come up here and express their opinions. It's heartfelt for each one of you. Danny, you too. Y'all paid your 10-5. You deserve to be here. So it's just refreshing to have people who are not giving these canned speeches and telling what you really want to do for America. We ought to encourage this. Ralph Norman from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Been married 51 years. Same woman. 4 children. 17 grandchildren. And folks, the reason I'm doing this is fighting for your children, your grandchildren, the future generations. That, as was well explained by Governor Sanford, we got a dire reality that is going to be front and center stage is our debt. And you got to have people who are willing to confront it head on. Why am I the best one for this job? I'm the only one that's been in the business arena. I have made money and I have lost money for 40 some years. And I backed it up with a solid political career. My resume is my record. Look it up. I don't just sit here and spout these words off. All the agencies or groups, if you want to call them that rate how we do. Heritage Foundation, Turning Point USA, Club for Growth, Numbers USA,
CPAC, all of them, I've got a 95% rating. And I say that because that's just me. I don't have to think about that. When you're busy voting, and I've been in Congress for 8 years now, best decision I made. I won a special election. The place to be now, in my opinion, that I can serve the best and contribute like each one of you is in the Senate. It's where good bills go to die. I mean, we pass them. We pass bills that are good. The Save America Act, which is proving you're an American citizen before you can vote in the elections. How hard is that? We can't get it through. I will use my whatever expertise I have to go to the Senate and force the vote, whether it's blowing up the filibuster or having a walking filibuster or getting with the parliamentarian and change some of these stupid arcane rules that the Senate has. Forget getting 60 votes in the Senate. Forget getting it. We've got a 53 to 47 majority. We control the House. We control the presidency. If you really want to know why people are frustrated, Republicans, weak-kneed Republicans, have campaigned on less government, less taxes, less regulations, and then they morph into something different when they get into office. That's part of the reason that we're having low voter turnout. I hope and pray we have a good turnout this time because it's now more than ever we have got to stay involved. We have got a spiritual crisis in this country. I was talking to a pastor this morning, and he said, I want to pray for you. And I think people all over South Carolina and the nation are praying for us, particularly with what's happening in other states. All of whoever comes out of this is facing an opponent that's going to have millions and millions of dollars spent, like Senator Graham did when he ran against Jamie Harrison. It's coming our way. They see blood in the water. I'm the only one that has got the record, have got the courage to stop the socialism that is now the Democrat Party, folks. It's that simple. I was challenged the other day at a meeting like this with, why do you say evil? This has always existed. And corruption. I said, no, it's not. I said, let me challenge you with this. Tell me, when you can kill a live baby in the womb at birth, how is that not evil? When you can take a man who all he did was go on the college campuses and espouse the Christian religion, which this country was founded on, and get assassinated in Charlie Kirk, how is that not evil? How is that not evil when you have a man like Dr. Fauci, if you haven't listened to the interviews, claiming the fifth, he killed 1 million people, folks. He ought to be in an orange jumpsuit. All that to say is, when I stood with the frontline doctors, I was the only congressman back. Frontline doctors were there, kind of like you, Sam, saying, we've got a cure for this. It's hydroxychloroquine. No, the big pharma companies don't like it because they're not getting paid. It made sense. I think they mentioned ivermectin as well. I stood with them. And all the Black Lives Matter and all the groups that are now trying to subvert the American spirit and trying to take our freedom away. Now, if we don't fight, if we don't get good people in office, we will lose the freedoms that we have. Faith, family, and freedom is what we all have to stand up for. What I would for South Carolina, I make the right calls with the Senate to force votes there. Other thing I will really do is try to help South Carolina and make aware the electrical problems that reason you're paying high taxes, high electrical prices to companies. Call attention to audits and get things done on the right way. I'll recruit businesses. I'll recruit good people who have nothing to gain the system to come to South Carolina. God bless each and every one of you. It's Ralph Norman for Senate.com. Let's win this race.
Data centers can bring jobs, investment, and tax revenue, but they also require significant electricity, water, and infrastructure. What should the federal government's role be in encouraging these projects while protecting taxpayers and local communities?
One thing, you want the federal government out of it. I don't believe anything comes out of the federal government. I've been there 8 years. There's nothing. I mean, the federal government gets in the way. What I've told people that have called me, and in York County, they've had data centers that have been built. Uses water, uses electricity. Each community is going to have to take ownership. And she said, what do we do? I said, well, have you heard of the Planning Commission? Do you see the permits that you're going to have to ask about? You're going to have to get up, look at what permits have been issued, and raise hell about it. You got to raise hell about it. I mean, you just do. If you think it's that bad, I'm a real estate developer. How does a data center that takes acres and acres of land not affect the value of my house? These litigious lawyers, I'm telling them a little secret. The diminution of value is a huge thing. And I don't like trial lawyers because but in this case, they've got a legitimate reason, but ownership is communities. I'm not going to pass moratoriums to stop data centers. Do I think it's bad for the community? Yes. Do I think it's hurts the environment? Yes. Stop it. And I will do whatever I can. I'm not top down, throw a federal government on it. People are sick up to here of laws that are not enforced. So tell me how, if I pass some law to stop data centers, how are you going to enforce that? 10th Amendment is alive and well, states' rights. So no, I'm not for the federal government, and no, I'm not. Now, if the state wants to, if the legislature, in their wisdom, want to do something about it, do it. But I would empower the business people and the residents that are paying the taxes to take ownership and I tell them, don't get 1 or 2 people, get 5 or 6. Y'all, 5 or 6 people looking at in this room scare bureaucrats. And that's a good thing. Take 5 or 6, go to the Planning Commission, go to the city councils and fight.
Okay, we're down to our last 2, I believe. So next we're going to have Danny Lee Ford. Mr. Ford.
Thank y'all so much for being here today, and thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me this opportunity to be here and speak to you about what I believe, as well as Mr. McKissick and future Governor Wilson for putting this on. At least once a day, probably twice a day, my dad asked me, if not 4 or 5, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be involved so bad? Why is this so important to you? And I can sum it up very quickly for you. A few years ago, we had the biggest storm come through the upstate, and it wreaked havoc on the civilians of South Carolina and North Carolina. I flew for several days, essential things, to families in North Carolina, up in Transylvania. As soon as the roads opened, now we can't distribute them. I said, sure, I'll be glad to. I went up there, I fed 1,500 people a day, and I had a food pantry available for people to get essential things. I decided to walk over to the grocery store one day and see what they had in stock there and see why it was such a big deal that for me to be there. And what I was met with was a mother that walked out crying because she could not process her credit card to buy the essential things that she needed for her child and her family. At that moment, I knew that I needed to get involved and be more involved in my government. That was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. It really touched my heart. Nearly a year after that, on the date, we went through the largest government shutdown that we've ever had, 43 days. And then I really knew I needed to get involved. My platform is simple. South Carolina seat, sustainability, education, 8% of our food from another country. We're only 10% sustainable in the state of South Carolina. We've been talking about data centers. As soon as I finished with my run for Agriculture Commissioner, the phone did not stop ringing. Communities kept calling me and said, can you come speak on behalf of farmers at these local meetings at the county council? I said, absolutely. I soon learned that there's 15,000 residents sitting in Spartanburg, South Carolina right now that were told that they had a minor development coming, but they had Valera Holdings drop the biggest data center that we have in the state right on top of them. It dropped every one of their property values straight in half. Their kids want to know what the noise is in the middle of the night with the construction. They can't sleep. Soon after, I was asked to come to Greenwood, McCormick, and ended up being lucky enough to be involved with the moratorium in Greenwood. The flock cameras, the data centers, it's all out of control, and it's getting pushed straight down our citizens' throat without any say-so. Am I 100% against them? Absolutely not. It's responsible development. They should to prove that they can be sustainable, that they can have their own water, closed-loop systems, they can produce their own power, that they're not going to leave a stain on South Carolina when they leave here. We've all seen in 1980, a computer used to fit in a room, and now everyone's got one in their hand. So in 20 years, what are we going to do with them? We're just going to have empty buildings? No, we need a decommission plan after they're done. These are some of the richest people in the world. Education, that's not a cost. That's an investment in our children's future. That is something I can get behind, whether it be college, internships, or straight to work. We need tradesmen in the United States. We are lacking. Affordability. This is a big one with me. I know how much the people in South Carolina want to keep more of their dollar. Right now, I think farmers get to keep 8 to 10 cents per food dollar. So that means that every dollar that you spend, farmers get 8 to 10 cents. Right now, DOJ has been investigating the 4 largest packers in the United States that control 85% of the food that comes out of packing houses. They need to kick the Brazilian-owned company out of the United States. Smithfield, Chinese-owned. They are coming for our food security, and it's a problem. I've seen it. I know more about agriculture than anybody on this list. I've done it my entire life. I know what we need for the #1 industry in the state of South Carolina. God bless y'all, God bless America, and God bless South Carolina. Thank y'all so much for letting me talk to you today.
What is your plan to hold states accountable for Medicaid fraud or any fraud in the government if you were to get elected?
I love it. I watched a 21-year-old, Tyler, I think his name was, that went and knocked on the doors of, what was it, the nurseries that was supposed to have kids there in Minnesota. Just went and knocked on the door to see if they're there. Nobody is looking. Nobody is paying attention. See what is going on. See where this money's going. Nobody's paying attention or looking to see if there's even a nursery at these places that they're claiming. It's rampant in the federal government, and I'll put an end to it. Thank you guys so much. All right, and next up, Senator Darlene Graham.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Yes, I have some notes. You know why? Because I haven't slept in 2 days. So I'm going to keep my thoughts straight. But first, let me say thank you so much for your prayers. They have meant so much to me and my family. Y'all know I've had a very tough few weeks. And let me just also say, I'm not a performer. I'm not a politician. I never wanted to be a politician. But like Lindsay, I have a servant's heart. I am a hard worker. And yes, I have President Trump's endorsement, but I know I have to earn your votes. And you know what? I voted all night last night. I got back to the hotel about 5 o'clock in the morning. I took a shower. I drove 30, 40 minutes to Dulles Airport, flew to Columbia, drove another hour, hour and a half from Columbia. How long does it take to get here? I don't know. To be here with y'all so that I can earn your vote, because I know I have to earn your vote. Thank you. But, and last night I didn't want to adjourn. I was one of I think we had 15 to 20 that voted not to adjourn because I wanted to stay there and I wanted to get things done. Yeah, I was tired and I wanted to come home, but the others voted to come home. So unfortunately, I lost on that one. But if you don't know, Lindsay and I grew up in the back of a bar and liquor store, right? In one room. We didn't even have bathrooms. We had to share the bathrooms that the customers used. Our parents worked long, hard hours. They had to get up and go to work even when they didn't feel like it. Because if they didn't, the bills didn't get paid, right? So I know the value of $1. I have a strong work ethic from that. And as far as like my experience, I want to clear up the record, and set it straight right here. The experience I bring is not DEI. I'm not lacking experience. I've worked for 30 years for the state of South Carolina. For the past 7, I have ran a state agency with 10 locations, 130 employees, and a $90 million budget. I turned it from a struggling agency into a national model. Thank you. I fought duplication of services to save taxpayers' dollars. We help blind people and people with disabilities get jobs so that they didn't have to rely on the government. How is that DEI? There were years I went down to the General Assembly and told them, you know what, I don't need any additional funding because I got enough federal funding, so I'm not going to waste taxpayers' dollars. I don't need money this year. So again, I've got experience and I'm not DEI. But I do want you to know a little bit more about my conservative values. First, I'm a volleyball mom, very proud of that. I love watching my daughter play. And let me tell you something. Boys do not belong in girls' sports. And they sure don't belong in the girls' locker room. And I stand with Israel. That's another thing about me. I'm definitely pro-life. Every life is sacred. I strongly support the Second Amendment. I actually had my concealed weapons permit a few years ago. I got a 98 on the shooting portion. A little bit about me. I think if you need to have an ID to check out a library book, then you should have to have an ID to vote, right? That's why I co-sponsored the Save America Act. That's another reason I voted to stay there, to get it done. I did vote yes to a bill last night to require voter ID, but unfortunately that got shot down by the Democrats. But we're going to keep working on that one. Lindsay was chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. He was an expert on the federal budget. I'm an expert on the family budget. I tell you, there's 5 million people in South Carolina. Do y'all know that 50% of them live paycheck to paycheck? That's sad. 60% of them don't have 3 months of money set aside to pay the bills. Something even sadder, I'm in that 60%. I've lived in that 50% for a long time. So I know what it's like to struggle, and I think that needs to be changed. We're in Washington last night in a room for hours talking about priorities. You know, the priorities are the families in South Carolina and how much they're struggling. I oppose illegal immigration. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris let 12 million illegal immigrants into this country. I'll help President Trump walk them right back out. Again, I oppose DEI. I think AOC is CRAZY, and someone mentioned the Socialist Democrats. That is a problem. I'm seeing it, and something has to be done. That is scary. That has to come to a stop. On another note, more importantly, I'm already working with President Trump to carry out his agenda. Early this morning, I confirmed I voted for President Trump's Attorney General nominee, Todd Blanche. So that one got through. I also voted for 70 other nominees, 70 plus. And here's one I'm really proud of. I also passed my first bill. Do y'all know that some senators are there for years and never pass a bill? Now, I can't take credit for this one because my brother did all the work on it. but I helped get it across the finish line, and that wasn't easy, and I worked for weeks on that, and I'm really proud of it. And it's the Lindsey O. Graham Sanctioning Russia-Iran Act of 2026. And I know Lindsey's looking down from heaven right now smiling about this one. It achieves peace and ends bloodshed in Ukraine. So again, extremely proud about that one. I made it clear that I fully support President Trump's effort to end birthright citizenship. Do y'all know that women come into this country just to have babies so that their children have U.S. citizenship? That's nothing but a scam. That is a complete scam. I got the red card. Sorry, but that has to end. Anyway, God bless. Thank you all very much. I appreciate the prayers.
What is your plan to protect the privacy of citizens in the age of flock cameras and AI processing?
You know, the flock cameras, I need to look into that one because there's two sides to that story. I know that some people are concerned about privacy and protecting their privacy, and I'm all for protecting the privacy of U.S. citizens. The other side of it is if there's an emergency situation, then an ambulance can be called quicker and it can save lives. So protect privacy, save lives. I'm going to be honest, that's a hard one for me. So I wanted to look into it a little bit more. That's an honest answer. That's what I'm going to give you.
Was that it?
That was it.
You're good? Okay, thank you, Senator Graham. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Glad you were able to make it. Thank you. There you go. All right. Let's give all of our candidates a round of applause. Folks, I'm going to make a few brief remarks. First, I want to start off, can I have a point of personal privilege to talk about myself for just a second? This is important. I want to say thank you to everyone. Not everybody in here, I might not have been your first choice in the primary. I might not have been your second choice. For some of you, I might not have been your third, fourth, or fifth choice, but I'm your only choice now. What I want to say to you is this. I'm looking for the opportunity to fight for all of you as your next governor. Mike Rickenbaugh in the back of the room here. We're going to fight for you, and we're going to fight whoever we pick from this group of great candidates to be the U.S. Senate nominee. We're going to fight for you in November, but it's going to take all of us working together. Folks, a lot of people in this room you've stuck a flag in a team. I told you at the beginning of this event, fight for your candidate, fight for your team. But remember, we're not enemies. We might be competitors. And everybody here comes from a family, and everyone has had a fight with a spouse. Everyone here has had a fight with a brother or sister, a nephew, an aunt, and uncle, parent, right? Families fight, they argue, but they get over it, and they come together. And we're a family. Sometimes we feel like a dysfunctional family, but we're still a family. We have a shared vision for our state and our nation, and we need to keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be your nominee. One thing that you can do to help me over here, and the other candidates have tables. You might see their literature. We have bumper stickers over here. Slap a bumper sticker on your car, driving around. That's free advertising. Mike Rickenbaugh says every bumper sticker he sees on the back of a car, he's going to give you a free car freshener at one of his dealerships, right? Not a car freshener. Car freshener. Y'all, he just turned like 3 shades of red. That's hard for a black man to do. I love you, Mike. I love you. In all seriousness, he did not say that. But take a sign, take a sticker, and if you're supporting one of the candidates up here, take their sign, take their sticker, wear it, promote it. They need your help. This community is important to me. I grew up in Lexington. My grandmother, my mom, is from Florence. My family's from Florence. I walked 1,000 laps around Lucas Park off Old Cherokee Road growing up. This community is important to me. This area of the state is important to me. So I want to thank you for allowing us to be here to host this forum. Tuesday is the election day. 2 weeks from there, we pick a nominee. With that being said, I'm going to hand it to Drew, who's going to tell you the instructions on how you can participate in our straw poll. And then please come talk to these candidates. To all the candidates, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you putting yourself out there. It's tough, and I get it.
All right. So, first off, did everybody enjoy it? You enjoy hearing from the candidates this morning? Again, thank them. Spend some time with them. But before you go, there's a table right over there in front of the stairs. That's where the straw poll is. One ballot for everybody. No cheating. We're going to watch them, count them, and the media is back in the back, and they want to be able to report the results. So if you would, just make an orderly line. Go vote in the straw poll, then spend some time with the candidates. Talk to them, get their literature, their tables. God bless you. Thank you for coming.